Pro Audio Secrets, a show that helps you to find your own voice in sound.
Exposing yourself and putting yourself out there is definitely something that brings growth and brings, income, safety, opportunities. Saying that this is not for you is like saying that food is not for you. When you connect with people, that's where you get opportunities. Not just dumping content out there, creating connections, even if it's with 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, but making things more human, let's say, in our content and building connections through that. Imagine a world that your whole area of expertise is no more. People who were making typewriter machines and then the computer came along. Even if you don't have the expertise for the new thing, if you have the correct connections, everything will flow much better.
In this episode of Pro Audio Secrets, I go deep on the topic of content creation for audio professionals. I do this myself, as you know, but I have help from a friend of mine who runs an agency called Kavanka. His name is Branco, he's from Brazil, and we talk about our journey that we had now for over 2 years together and why it makes sense for everyone basically to put themselves out there and create those meaningful connections online. Enjoy the episode. Today is a very special episode coming up because we are talking with Branco, nowadays a friend of mine, but 2 years ago we met on social media, and he's actually an audio post-production professional that kind of switched careers into running a social media agency. And that's also how we collaborate nowadays, because he helps me with his brand Kavanka and they assist me in my whole social media journey and we develop my content together. So welcome, Branco. Do you want to give yourself a little introduction, what you're currently doing and where you're coming from?
Okay, so I am, someone who got a film degree originally. So in terms of academic background, that's my background. And I see myself more as a post-production guy rather than someone who is like from audio or from, filming something or from scripting or something like that. Mm-hmm. So inside post-production, I like to explore different realms. And for a time there, I was quite focused in post-production for audio post-production, audio post-production for films, for documentaries, TV documentaries specifically. That was something that I explored for a while. Animations, short films, feature films, there were animations, were also something that I was exploring for a while. And that was somewhat of my, some sort of my income for a few years there. Around the time of the pandemic was my main income. And over time, I developed a social media profile based on audio because I just didn't want to make a small social media that would be just portfolio for my work or something. I wanted to make it more and to explore the world of audio and then to make the brand, which is called Audiophilical, stronger. And when I did that, I grew 40,000 followers in 7 months, 10 months or something. It was easier to grow back then. That's actually something, but I did some, I did get some reach back then.
I didn't know that you gained those 40,000 followers that quickly back then.
Yeah, but I mean there is that boom, right? That Instagram gives you, like there is that moment, and it took me about a year actually to build and to develop content and to find content that would resonate with people. And then honestly, it was like from 1,000 to 43,000 in 6-7 months or something like that. And after that, I was really into this process of making social media. And that's why I, got some distance from audio post-production, basically, and focused on now post-production, focusing on making content for social media. And then over time, there was this huge process of making over 2,000 videos a year and feeling burned out, feeling that you need some spark of feeling that you are motivated and that you dig what you do. Of course, those 2,000 videos were not just because of my own content. It was basically content from clients that I was serving. And I realized that I like this, I'm good at this. So I'm actually going to start another brand, not finishing Audiophilico, not stopping my work with other clients that I had related to other things related to social media or TV work or something like that. They are not necessarily related to audio. But I'm going to focus now on making something related to content creation and social media, and eventually develop this notion of I have to build something that is sustainable, that doesn't burn people out, that is not just dumping content out there, feeding that internet theory. There is this theory that we're just making content for no one, and eventually we'll automate the content that we make. So it's no one making content for no one. So avoiding that, actually creating connections, even if it's with 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, but making things more human, let's say, in our content, and building connections through that. I'm not opposed to AI. I'm not opposed to automations in any sort of way. I'm just thinking about how can we make this more sustainable, building connections and making people, feel more alive and more, inside of a society, not more isolated through their content and through their social media. And that's where we landed with Kavanka. This is the brand that I am working in right now. And we basically started this a few months ago, and now we are still, those building blocks that I did with Audiophilico social media, we are in that phase now with Kavanka, and eventually we will probably also blossom into a more, greater reach with our own social media. But at this point, we are having good results with social media content from the clients that we are working with, including you.
Including me. So let's get a bit of backstory here into the whole conversation. So when your journey with Audiophilico was around 5,000 followers, I think you reached out to me, and I had maybe 230 followers or something. And you asked me if I want to be part of your profile by just providing a video for your Foley Tuesday. Because back then, every Tuesday you posted something about Foley, right?
Right.
And that gave me the motivation to actually start coming up with the content I was always wanting to do. So I built my whole studio with the intention I want to be a content creator, or I want to do videos and post it on social in order to make a name for myself. That was the whole idea. And you basically sparked that and gave me the initiation by asking me if I can provide you those videos. So starting with that, you then invited me to another call where we just were where we did talk about social media, and you advised me in a 2-hour-long meeting basically that I should post for the rest of the year every day, and then you promised me that something will happen because you believed in my content and whatever, which I really appreciated. And I followed your advice, and then I had the same kind of experience that you had with with Audiophilico, that my channel kind of exploded in a couple of months. It went from 230 to 40,000 or something followers, because I recorded one video every day. And I did that basically back then all by myself, coming up with an idea every day, then grabbing my phone, recording it and editing it on CapCut back in the days, and then uploading it end of the day. And that was something that was going on day in, day out, no matter what was happening in my life. If we had like a big barbecue with 40 guests in the afternoon, I did this in the morning, 6 a.m. Sometimes I had to get up at night and sleep for 2 hours and then record like from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. or whatever. But I made it happen, thanks to God who allowed me to do this. And then things grew from that. And I got great opportunities, connecting with other social media, sound designers. In the end, it was a great journey in the beginning. And then over time, we then started a collaboration. And it started out by I'm giving you my Foley one-to-one coaching, and you gave me some video editing in exchange. We did that for a couple of months, and then we decided to make this a long-term collaboration. And now for almost 2 years, I think, we have this thing going on that we develop content together. You help me with editing, with developing. We come up with ideas and scripts and all the thing that is also related to the business side of my social media, the Foley Guild and email marketing and many chat automations and whatnot. So you're helping me with all of that, you and your team. And that's where we are now, right?
Yeah. And it's been over 500 videos at this point together.
That we did together?
Yeah, I think so. I think only if we get just the reels is about like 300 or something. And then there are podcast excerpts and then videos exclusive for the community, and then everything that we develop for YouTube, and several other stuff that we've been working, and some of them are still to be released, right?
Yes.
So again, it's not just one of the things that I really like about the audiovisual work and the connection that we have through that is that it takes me places that I haven't been or that I wouldn't be without it, right? And so I remember that when we first talked, I was like surprised because you had like a staircase, and under there were like a bunch of props. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then I was like, do a video for each prop, and that's okay. Like, and you'll be like, you have a lot of videos, and then you did a lot of videos with that approach of like, if you want to make a sound like this, but you don't have it, do it with that. And so you would present a prop to some people that will be watching you, and then those people would eventually become a crowd, right? A lot of people watching your content. So when we started working together, I was like, this guy has this amazing personality, but at the same time, it's this. There is a lot of content here and a lot of good things to be developed, and I'm very privileged to be connected with this process. I like to feel like that with most of the clients that I work with. Honestly, there are a few clients that I don't feel like that, but to feel like this person has an experience that I wouldn't have any contact with if I wasn't just making this content, and the process. There is this book that I really like, and that has this sentence that says, the beginning of creativity, the source of creativity, is curiosity. So the way that I work with my clients, with my process of making content is, or helping people make their own content, is trying to understand your reality and keep myself curious about what is in that is interesting. So, and that really fuel for my whole process of working every day. Like, what am I going to learn as a new thing today?
It's a nice approach to think about your clients in that way, that your clients help you to explore the world and go deeper into their world so that you can gain this for your own world. And luckily, in my case, because I'm an audio professional, you have that audio background yourself. So you really understand what's going on in my world, and you can dive deep into this field also on that professional level. Because I want to actually help audio professionals to level up their Foley game, and therefore it's not a superficial thing that I'm talking about. I really go deep into this professional field of Foley and sound design, and very technical sometimes, but also in terms of the medium that I'm talking about, films and video games. So you come with that fundamental knowledge about the whole industry, which really helps me to communicate my stuff with you easily And sometimes it happened that I was maybe sick or I couldn't do anything properly. So because in the end, you cannot make the content for me entirely. I always have to be the person in front of the camera and doing at least that work, and then you can take it from there. So if that falls out, then you even helped me out because we had that legacy of content and you created then new things from that so that we could keep the machine running, sort of thing. And I appreciate that, skill that you bring, that you don't just wait for me to produce something, that you can go on and do your thing. It's really like, this collaboration that comes, the energy comes from both sides, and both of us want actually this thing to glow and to grow and to flourish, and I can really feel that. So that's why I also enjoy the collaboration so much. And quick one, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do us the favor and do it now. It really helps us to sustain and grow this, and it's a free thing that you can do that actually helps us. Thank you so much, and let's go back to the episode. Do you think for other audio professionals now, is it worth going into that field of also, creating content for themselves? Because maybe not everyone has that persona that works in front of a camera like I have, because I come from rapping and I'm kind of used to, perform into the mic and perform on stage and maybe use a camera. And I got better at that over time as well. But maybe other people are not that natural on camera. And maybe they also don't have this very specific niche within their profession as an audio professional, but still, do you think it's worth exploring content creation, basically for everyone who has at least a little bit of a taste for it?
I think the biggest thing about content creation, as I mentioned, is the connections that you make. Right, the connections that you make. I think, imagine a word right now, right, that your job ceases to exist. Like your whole area of expertise is no more, right? Think about, or at least no more, let's say commercially. Like people can do this. So think about, I don't know, people who were making typewriter machines, and then the computer came along, right? If you have, even if you don't have the expertise for the new thing that's popping in, if you have the correct connections, everything will flow much better. I think the thing that, like, everyone in any part of history, at any moment in history, if they hid themselves, if they did not expose themselves a little bit, they would surely lose a lot. So the thing about, exposing yourself and putting yourself out there is definitely something that brings growth and brings, income, safety, new means and new, opportunities if you do that. So the idea of just do it, just take this job, just do this, new degree, or study this, or just read that book, or just go and do that exercise, or anything like that. Just the just do mentality, right? It's related to that, because when you don't do it, it's usually because you are afraid, or you fear that this is not really the way that you want to portray yourself, or this is really not for you. Like saying that, creating connections professionally, and branding and all of those things. Saying that this is not for you is like saying that food is not for you. It's like saying that sleep is not for you. Because when you connect with people, that's where you get opportunities. Now, I understand that people, like, won't be able, even like physiologically, they won't be able to do some sorts of content. I understand that, people can stutter, people can, they don't want to show their faces. People might be able to, talk to a microphone, but they are not able to do anything when they have a camera in front of them. They might not even be able to, they to prepare themselves, like to visually be recurrently not appealing, but acceptable, let's say, online or something like that, because sometimes your schedule doesn't allow that. Sometimes this is a huge issue, right? But there are other ways. Nowadays you can do, for instance, I'm just not going to name Instagram, right? You can do carousels. You can do static posts. You can do videos without your actual video recording. You can just do voiceovers, right? You can do a video but not have your voice on it, just text. A lot of people do that, like a video of you doing something and then you put a text on the screen. There are, an infinite amount of ways to make content nowadays, and honestly, a few of them will be sustainable for you on the long term. You just have to find it. That's the thing that. So this is something that we discuss in Kavanka. Kavanka has a online community on school, and we have a few courses there. And if you get to level 2, you can have access to the most basic course that we have. And one of the things that we discuss in this course, it's a very short course, but it's just the three circles, right? What people want to see, what is the demand, what you want to do, and what you can do. Sometimes you cannot do something because you don't have the means, or because you really can't. You stop if you try to do that, right? And it's not really autonomous. It's not really because you want, right? It's just because that happens, and I respect that, right? But over time, you will find what you can do, and then what you want to do, what you feel motivated and keep doing, and then what people want to see, want to watch, which changes from time to time, but there is always a niche that doesn't change that much, honestly. It's just a few things on the content that will change. Once you find those 3 circles and you lock it in, you will have success on social media. This is, 100%. But finding that's hard. That's really, really tough. Especially with the competition that nowadays everyone is a content creator. So, yeah.
I feel that. Especially right now, within the last week or so, I saw so many people pop up doing audio content. So actually, this thing that I am preaching now for a couple of years, maybe some people heard it and actually also start doing videos now. And I don't feel intimidated by that. I really love that process because more people showing off their creativity. And I most of the time when I like something, I genuinely just write that person a message telling them great content, I really like it, keep going, let's connect or whatever. Just because I'm so happy that this is actually growing now, even within the audio niche. So there are a couple of youngsters that do sound design and show off their process, recording with everyday items from their home and then making something else out of it with sound design techniques and then showing off the whole process and the final result. I have now 3 to 4 people in mind that do actually great stuff on a regular basis. And now even other Foley artists that I have never seen before, but I kind of know them from my professional network, they now also start coming up with videos. And I see that especially from people from Latin America. So shout outs, you're also in Brazil, Branco. And still I feel that way more people could use social media more smartly, basically, because what I see on LinkedIn is everyone is kind of just posting, I got a new job here, I got that certificate, here's my latest show reel. But no one is really telling stories or giving insights from their own experiences and maybe taking the time, to write something that helps other people actually understand them better, understand their approach, what they actually want or what they can contribute to the whole community. And those people who actually do that, I think they have a huge advantage because they are known within the industry, and most of the time they find a way to attach a certain additional stream of income to their work, either through courses or either cohort-based courses or just online courses, video on demand, or they produce sound effects that people can buy, or they do all of these things together. So yeah, I feel that as you said, everyone who's not thinking about that is kind of missing out.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you have enough work and everything is fine, okay, why bother? You could have more work, but where's the point?
I can say why bother, because that's what I mean, connections, right? So I remember this story when I was, at the university. I studied here in Brazil, and I went to the university. I was in a bus going to a class, and on the bus there was this classmate, and I recognized him. I sat down by his side, and we just talked for the whole route to the university. And in this process, he was like, "Oh, I just applied for the scholarship of this," and I was like, "What scholarship?" And he was like, "Oh," and then he told me about this scholarship, which I was like, by the end of the bus route, which was like 20 minutes long, 15 minutes long, something like that. I was like, I have to apply for this scholarship, and that's how I got to Australia. And that's how I went to Australia, and part of my degree is in Australia, right? So it was a connection point, basically that. Like, I had the skill, I would be able to apply if I knew, before that. But because I had that connection, because that guy was talking to me, and I got the initiative of sitting by his side, I got the opportunity to go to Australia, to study there. So it's just that, like, once you have social media, even if you have a lot of work, that's when you actually want to make more content, because everything in life has ups and downs. There will be a time that your market will fluctuate. That even if you are a grave digger, even if you are on a market that won't be going away anytime soon, that market will fluctuate and things will change, and you might be losing opportunities and clients eventually. So what happens here is that you create this safety net of people like, hey, if everything goes wrong, I'm a few clicks away from a bunch of people that I know that are in the industry, and if things are not well where I am, maybe it will be better where they are. Maybe I can do remote work. Maybe I can change my type of work slightly to fit in something else, and you get the safety net, which is so important nowadays.
Yes. If you sometimes get stuck when you create sounds and you don't have the right source material, consider do-it-yourself. And the Foley Guild is the place where you actually can learn do-it-yourself Foley techniques on a professional level, so you can get the results that you actually want from your daily work as a sound designer. Or if you want to become a Foley artist, the Foley Guild is the place where you have an online mentor, myself, that is at your service and is really passionate to help you grow. So let's connect in the Foley Guild or continue watching this video. Peace. I mean, in audio, we have so many things that happened in the last couple of years. The strikes in the US, also in Germany, there were some legislation issues which hit the movie industry very hard. And now we have the war in Iran, and now Saudi Arabia is basically out of work. And I was just in South Africa, and Kyle, the head of audio at Pressure Cooker, told me that a French TV station, Canal Plus, I think, they bought a local network in South Africa, or they just gained the majority of shares, and that way they can now control the whole company. And the first thing they did, they kind of froze all the running productions that were like local South African productions. And that basically put a lot of people out of work from one day to the next. And the Iran war is the same for people who work in Saudi or in Qatar or Dubai, related to film. And there you go. Now people are reaching out to me and telling me that, and maybe hoping for that connection, like, yeah, I have something for you. And eventually that happens, Then another thing, all the layoffs that we have lately with the gaming companies. I think there was like 1,000 people let go by Epic Games, not sure, or EA. EA let go a couple of people. Ubisoft did that. I was also affected by this. I was full-time employed at Ubisoft, and then at a certain point in time, I had to go. Yeah. And that was also initially for me the whole idea that I wanted to put myself on camera and talk about Foley, because on the one hand I saw there's a need for this. There's not a lot of content, maybe some documentaries here and there from certain projects, but then you take a time span of 20 years and then you have like whatever 50 cool videos on YouTube about that. But nothing goes really into the depth of it and how to actually, go from A to Z. And a few people show off their work. Also, not maybe only 3 people or that I know who do that like on a regular basis, and maybe explain something about it as well. And then I thought, yeah, okay, let's do it. And my goal was to be one of the most known Foley artists on the internet, basically. I cannot say that I have the biggest credits in the world, and there are maybe 100 Foley artists that have way bigger and way more credits and way more experience than I have, but nobody knows them. They have work because they have their network, and that's actually also how the industry basically works. You deliver good work, you're relatable, you're reliable, and you're like easy to talk, and then you might get another job, right? But especially what you said, when things go south way, when things don't work out that way, then it's really good to have that social media network to find new opportunities and to connect with even more people. One quick anecdote that I just found out about lately. I watched a movie. I think it was Whiplash. So shout outs to the whole sound team. And as I was contacting the re-recording mix of that film because of a project I was almost involved in, I then looked up, I watched the movie again, and then I looked up all the other sound people. So, of course, Foley is always on top of my mind. And then I looked up the Foley artists on IMDb and then on LinkedIn. And usually that's also a thing that I do, when I like some Foley stuff, I look up the names and then I connect people on LinkedIn, just giving them props for their work. And then this one lady who did the Foley for Whiplash, which is Oscar-winning sound, right? They actually won the Best Sound Oscar for that movie. She's currently looking for work. So she ran an educational business on top of her Foley artistry, and she's in the Foley artist business for 30 years or something. But as of today, or as of 2 weeks ago, she was looking for a job. And that's when you think about that, someone with that credits and experience, and yeah, it's
Stability is really stability is hard to measure, right? How stable you are in your job, in your profession. Everything can change so quickly.
yeah. And having social media is actually a really cool thing. I want to give shout outs to Greg and Lewis, who run the Air Wiggles, which is a free online community with over 8,000 members. And Greg and Lewis, they are in their 20s and they are full-time employed at Soundcuts in the UK. So they have a very strong foundation for their work as sound designers, because they are in-house in a team with, more senior people. So they got mentored over years. They are in their late 20s, but they do this for 10 years or almost, I don't know. So they're senior themselves, being in their 20s, which is crazy. And then they, on top of that, started this community, which is for free again. So they put a lot of their time into this and built something for so many people that is so valuable that they now can gather like sponsorship money in the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 range to then host events like their online conference and other things like big challenges where people, can do sound design against each other, and then there's a big prize money or whatever. And to me, this is like so impressive, that you can build things like that, even when you don't have that business approach behind it.
And it creates things that you don't even imagine.
Yeah,
Right.
and then like let me bring this home. Those two to me are one of like the two most valuable people in the audio industry almost these days, like for the future, from the younger generation. They bring so much value for the whole community. Everyone knows them in one way or another. So I think when they have some issues with whatever work, they have very good foundation to get something else going.
I think that is a reference point until a while from now, where the Foley Guild will be a reference as well.
Hopefully,
I think,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I have this understanding that I want to make a side income to my main Foley work, also as a backup plan when maybe Foley work is not coming as frequent as it does now. And also the mission behind the Foley Guild is very unique, and I think it's very needed in the industry, because you have always the case that if you want to become a Foley artist, you need a mentor. And it's so hard these days to find a mentor which you can actually join physically in a studio and learn for a couple of years. You don't have income in that time. You have to be in the same city. And yeah, that works for some people, but not for many. And for those people, I want to just make that available, that they have someone they can always ask, they can present their work, and they can actually get better over time, maybe over years, And that's the thing that I'm onto and really passionate about that. I saw some results already, and it's a long-term process, right? I don't expect that things like happen overnight, like with the followers. Community building is something else. But I'm happy to take on this task, and the consistency is, I think, always the thing that makes the difference over time.
Right. Okay. So
We should
Yeah.
just continue doing our thing. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast and for helping me out with everything these days. So, any last recommendations or reference points for you before we end?
No, I just want to comment one thing that came to my mind when you were talking about the effects. Do you remember when we had DVDs and we had DVD extras?
Sure.
And those DVD extras, I remember when I was in film school, people were just like hey, I got the DVD for something, and there is an extra there where people explain this and that. And sometimes some of those extras, like King Kong, for instance, came up with a huge documentary that had a lot of, the process of sound making in those films. I know Star Wars also have that, and that's fantastic. And I mean, in a way, this is sort of what the Foley teacher is doing, and what other people who are making content and bringing to light those process, and the process itself becomes an entertainment piece, not just educational or something like that. It is also entertainment. It's also like, I never, never knew it was like that. So I believe we do have a great thing going on here, and it's always great to learn more from you, man.
Thank you. And thanks for being on the show again. Let's do this sometime soon again. And yeah.
By the way, people can find me on at Kavankas. The name of the brand is Kavanka, which is a little bit of a steep hill where the river flows down and accelerates a little bit. So it's an interesting name. But for some reason, Instagram didn't allow me to use the name Kavanka, although there is no account with this name. So on Instagram, then the page is called Kavankas, right? With an S in the end, like plural. So if anyone is interested in this whole process of learning more about sustainable content creation and news, we basically are placing news about social media platforms and content creation processes every single day there. And here and there now we are launching videos, but we will have more videos over time. So that's where you can find our whole crew and process. And we have also a school community that's also running, and if anyone's interested, it's also Kavanka's content creation hub, so it's also in there.
All right, check out Kavanka, and if you're serious about your content journey, then also consider them as your agency that helps you with the content, as I do, and I'm very happy that I have this support. So thanks again, and talk someday soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching or listening up until the end. It means a lot. It means that you are dedicated and are actually on the verge or currently doing content, which I really appreciate. So feel free to reach out to me anytime via DM on Instagram or LinkedIn. Join the Foley Guild, as I said, if you're really up for exploring the world of Foley on a professional level. And having said that, see you in one of the next videos. Peace, the Foley teacher.